Hello, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney and I am answering publicly posted questions on avo.com, getting people the answers they need from an employment attorney. And here's the question. Can a limited liability corporation that has at will employment fire a person after finding out they have AIDS? So the answer is not if it's because that person has AIDS. They can't fire the person because they have AIDS. They can fire the person for other reasons, where, if the person never shows up to work or, does something that would, rightfully result in termination, they could fire them for that, but not because they have AIDS. And there's definitely some level of presumption that if they terminate a person right after they find out that person has AIDS, I think most people are going to say that's a bit questionable. I'm not so sure about that. There's a good chance they did that because they found out about the AIDS diagnosis, right? So here's the rest of the question. I just started working for a company who told me in the interview that I would be able to work remotely, but I ended up contracting coronavirus because of a careless coworker. Basically, this person, they've had coronavirus now. They want to stay safe at home. The CEO says that they can. The CIO, which is this person's boss, also says that they can, but HR says no. I would rather not tell HR that I'm at risk, but I don't want to die either. I think you're being very reasonable. So, you shouldn't have to disclose your diagnosis to get a reasonable accommodation. One of the things you could do, first off, if the CEO and the CIO both think you can work from home, HR doesn't have the power to say no, right? The CEO and the CIO can both tell HR to go stuff it and do what they tell them. So that's the first play, right? Talk to those two, she or he, whoever they are, talk to them and say, listen, HR is giving me a hard time with this. I need your help. They can help you. Next thing I'd recommend is go to your doctor and say, Doc, I need a reasonable accommodation letter. I need to be safe from COVID. I don't think I can go in, and I don't want to disclose my full diagnosis, right? And your doctor should be able to put something together for you, right? One of the things that I'm thinking of is your doctor could say, hey, my patient is immune compromised. They need a reasonable accommodation. They need to work from home during this pandemic. And they can just leave it at that, right? They don't have to get into the specifics necessarily. Will they do that for you? Maybe, probably. There's no reason why they wouldn't unless they don't really understand the situation, right? And that's probably how I would play it if I was you and I didn't want them to know about my diagnosis. That being said, I don't think you should have to be afraid about your diagnosis, right? And I think a lot of employment attorneys, if you did disclose your diagnosis of AIDS and you were terminated for that, I think a lot of employment attorneys, certainly our firm as well, would jump at the chance to represent you, to help you fight that, because that's not right. But I also understand that it's not always about what's legal and not legal. It might just be about, the path of least resistance, just getting along with your job, earning some money, not having to turn everything to a fight. I get that. I respect that. So if you want to go that easier path, those first two options, having the CEO and the CIO stand up for you, and the second option, having your doctor create a reasonable accommodation letter that does not mention your specific diagnosis, either one of those should work for you and should, keep you from having to disclose your diagnosis if you don't want to. I really hope this video helped. If it did, consider liking and subscribing. It helps me to help more people just like you. And good luck.